Hey everyone. So, I want to share with you a sleep meditation today that I think, if you follow along, will have you asleep in as little as 11 minutes. If you're interested in other sleep meditations, like, subscribe so you see when I add new sleep videos to our sleep playlist. Let's get started with it. All right. Let's get started by getting comfortable and cozy in our bed or couch or wherever we want to fall asleep. Just kicking back, taking a couple deep breaths, closing our eyes if we feel comfortable with that. Breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. We'll do another one like that, just a nice in through the nose and out through the mouth. And maybe just one more, because why not? Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. Now, we want to go ahead here and keep something in mind as we're trying to fall asleep. And that thing is that we want to remember that if we don't fall asleep perfectly, if we don't feel like we slept perfectly one night, if it takes us a while to fall asleep, or if we miss a night of sleep altogether, that is not the end of the world. There's tons of research that shows that missing one night's sleep, it doesn't always feel the best, but it's not going to be catastrophic. So as we go into this meditation, let's just really work to take pressure off of ourselves to fall asleep. And sometimes something kind of magical happens when we take pressure off of ourselves for a result. It's that the magic is that result becomes just a little bit easier to get to. So again, just keeping that in mind. Now, as we're laying back in our beds and getting comfortable, we can begin by just noticing what our body is doing right now. And what I mean by that is noticing any sensations. So we're going to start with our legs and kind of notice, how are our legs feeling? Do they feel heavy and tired, or maybe they're kind of antsy and jumpy? Just taking a second and noticing that. Oftentimes when we're trying to fall asleep and it's hard, we can notice a lot of restless energy in our legs. And if that is the case, that's okay. It's not a big deal. It's not going to stop you from sleeping. Just notice it. Just say, oh yeah, my legs are a little agitated right now. And we'll kind of scan up the body then and maybe notice around our sort of our mid-body, torso, maybe even our arms. Again, are they heavy and tired, or maybe they're a little restless? Again, if they do feel a little restless and awake, not a big deal. Just say, okay, that's fine. They're a little restless, not a big deal. And now the challenge really begins. What we're going to try and do here, as we've got our eyes closed, or if you want to keep them open again, that's okay. We're going to start counting our breath. So when we breathe in and when we breathe out, that's one. So for example, 1, and breathe in and breathe out. 2. We're going to try that up to a count of 8 for a second. So we're all going to breathe at our own rate. I'm going to join in with you on this exercise. So I'll close my eyes here for a second and I'll do 8 breaths. You do 8 breaths, and we'll see. We might both be asleep by the end of it. If not, I'm going to give you some more thoughts to think about here after these first 8 breaths. But let's just get started with 8 breaths. Now, after we've gotten our first 8 breaths in, remembering something important here, and it's that we don't need to breathe in any specific way. You don't need to breathe super deep. In fact, we don't want to change the way we're breathing at all here as we fall asleep. Just let the breath do whatever it wants to do and follow along whatever the breath is naturally doing with some counting. Let's give that a go again. Let's try another 8, but this time, just not trying at all to breathe in any specific way. Just letting the breath do whatever it wants to do and following it with our count. Remember starting at 1 and going up to 8. Now, after we have another count of 8 in, noticing if our mind wanders off. This can be hard when we're trying to fall asleep. It can feel difficult to keep counting these breaths. You can feel like, oh, I'm so tired. This is hard. But here's the good thing. That is good that it's a little bit hard. We're the best way I can say it is tiring our brain out a little extra so we fall asleep. It's almost like doing maybe push-ups or going for a run or tire our body out. This is sort of like a little bit of exercise to get our mind sort of unwound, stretched out, a little bit tired, so that we can fall asleep just a little bit easier. So again, if you do feel like your mind wanders off and you lose count, not a big deal. Remember, that's good. You're getting your brain all relaxed and a little bit tired. So let's count another 8. Maybe another 2 sets of 8. We'll do 2. And again, if that mind wanders off, just bring it back to 1, start over, knowing it's not a big deal. Those repetitions are getting us extra tired, so we fall asleep that much easier. It can be natural here to feel impatient or restless. It can be easy to do the counting and lose count and say, I'm doing this all wrong, I'm bad at meditation. But don't worry, it's not the case. The idea is that this is a little bit hard, and that's what helps us fall asleep. So if it's a little bit challenging, lean into that and say, oh, this is good, this is a little hard, this is what's helping me fall asleep. And then just bringing our count back to 1, up to 8. And if it gets distracted, if our mind wanders off, just getting back to 1.